the summer of 1973, a supersonic passenger jet soared high above the golden deserts of Africa. This was no ordinary flight. On board was a small group of scientists, their instruments, and one of the most ambitious astronomical experiments ever attempted. As the aircraft cruised at over twice the speed of sound, the midday sun above them suddenly vanished. Darkness swept across the land, and the stars appeared in the middle of the day. For 74 extraordinary minutes, far longer than nature normally allows, the passengers remained in the moon's shadow, witnessing one of the longest total solar eclipses ever experienced by humankind. This is the story of how Concorde, the fastest passenger plane ever built, turned into a flying observatory and chased the moon's shadow across Africa. It was a mission that has never been repeated, and one that still holds a record half a century later. The idea began in 1972 with French astrophysicist Eclipse. An upcoming solar eclipse in June 1973 promised something truly special, a period of totality, when the moon completely covers the sun, that would last over 7 minutes at its peak. Most eclipses offer only 2 to 3 minutes of totality, so this was a rare opportunity. An eclipse of this length would not occur again for nearly 200 years. His solution was to observe the eclipse from a fast-moving aircraft that could keep pace with the moon's shadow as it raced across Earth's surface. That would give scientists far more time in totality than any fixed point on the ground above them. But the aircraft would have to be something extraordinary, faster than almost anything in the air, yet capable of carrying scientists, their instruments, and enough fuel to chase the eclipse for more than an hour. That was when thought of Concorde. Concorde was unlike any other passenger aircraft in history. Designed jointly by Britain and France, it could cruise at over Mach 2, more than 2,000 kilometers per hour, and at altitudes around 17 kilometers above the Earth. While military jets could fly faster, they had neither the range nor the cabin space for such a mission. Concorde's speed, endurance, and capacity made it the perfect platform for this ambitious idea. Approach Turcat, the legendary French test pilot who had made Concorde's first prototype flight. Turcat, intrigued by the concept, reached out to the French aerospace company behind Concorde to secure the use of prototype 001 for the mission. The biggest challenge was to design a flight plan that would intercept the moon's shadow at exactly the right moment and then remain inside it for as long as possible. To understand how this would work, one must first understand the mechanics of a solar eclipse. A total solar eclipse occurs when the moon passes directly between the Earth and the Sun, casting a shadow across the planet's surface. The larger, outer part of this shadow, known as the penumbra, produces a partial eclipse. The smaller, darker center, called the umbra, is where the Sun is completely obscured. As the moon moves in its orbit, this umbra races across Earth at tremendous speed. In 1973, the shadow would move at around 2,200 kilometers per hour, slightly faster than Concorde's maximum speed. This meant that while Concorde could never overtake the shadow, it could join it and travel with it for an extended period before being left behind. The path of the June 30, 1973 eclipse began over the South Atlantic Ocean, passed over parts of Africa, and ended over the Indian Ocean. The longest totality would occur over the Sahara Desert, making Africa the ideal location for the choice. But Concorde's options for airports in Africa were limited. Many runways were too short for the supersonic jet, and hot desert air reduced its performance, requiring a lighter fuel load. After careful analysis, the team chose the Spanish island of Gran Canaria as the launch point. It offered a long runway, cooler conditions, and an ideal location for intercepting the moon's shadow. From Gran Canaria, Concorde would fly south toward Mauritania, meeting the moon's shadow at a precisely calculated point, and then follow it across the Sahara toward Chad. To make things even more complex, the shadow's path was not a straight line but a curve, meaning that simply following its center would require constant banking, something that would make telescope observations nearly impossible. To solve this, the scientists planned a straight-line route that would skim the northern edge of the shadow, cut diagonally across to its southern edge, and finally return to the north. This would allow Concorde to remain in the umbra for the maximum possible time without any turns, giving the scientists a steady platform for their instruments. Precision was everything. If Concorde arrived at the intercept point, even 15 seconds late or a kilometer off course, the moon's shadow would outrun it much sooner. To prepare for this, Turcat studied every variable, from wind speed to atmospheric pressure that might influence their timing. Meanwhile, engineers began modifying Concorde to transform it into the fastest observatory in the world. Since the Eclipse would be almost directly overhead during the chase, they cut openings into the top of the fuselage and fitted them with special quartz windows. These would allow telescopes and cameras a clear view of the sun. All the passenger seats were removed to make space for the instruments, and Concorde's electrical systems were altered to power the scientific equipment. 5 research teams for French and 1 American were selected for the mission, each with its own experiments aimed at studying the corona, solar radiation, and the zodiacal light, a faint glow caused by sunlight reflecting off interplanetary dust. On the morning of June 30th, 1973, the weather over Gran Canaria was calm, but with some turbulence expected at high altitude. At exactly 10:08 a.m., Turcat began Concorde's takeoff roll but 20 seconds ahead of schedule. This early departure was intentional, giving him a cushion to adjust for any unexpected headwinds during the climb. That decision proved vital. Climbing to cruising altitude, Concorde encountered stronger winds than expected, losing 8 seconds from the flight schedule. With the intercept point approaching, Turcat needed to shed the remaining 12 seconds before arrival. He used small air brakes to make delicate adjustments, but turbulence continued to interfere. With only minutes remaining and still 4 seconds behind schedule, Turcat pushed Concorde's Rolls-Royce Snigma Olympus engines beyond their rated limit, accelerating slightly above Mach 2.2. It was a risky move, but it worked. Concorde arrived at the intercept point just 1 second late and a mere kilometer off course. At that exact moment, the sun vanished behind the moon, and the world outside was plunged into darkness. The temperature dropped sharply. Above, the scientists looked through their instruments and saw the breathtaking white glow of the sun's corona, framed by the black silhouette of the moon. For the next 74 minutes, Concorde flew in perfect formation with the moon's shadow, a race across the African sky unlike any before or since. Inside, the scientists worked quickly but calmly, knowing they had a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. PRS team used infrared telescopes to measure the heat and structure of the corona, improving understanding of how it reaches such extraordinary temperatures. They also collected valuable data on the zodiacal light, revealing new details about the dust that fills our solar system. The American team made another remarkable discovery. The corona pulses rhythmically every 5 minutes due to acoustic waves traveling through it. Eventually, the moon's shadow began to slip ahead. Concorde emerged back into brilliant sunlight and began its descent toward Chad. The mission had gone almost flawlessly, a triumph of precision planning, engineering skill, and exceptional flying. For the scientists and pilots on board, it was more than just an experiment, it was an awe-inspiring human experience. To this day, the 74 minutes of totality experienced aboard Concorde in 1973 remain an unbroken record, and it is unlikely to be surpassed without another supersonic aircraft capable of such a feat. In that fleeting hour and a quarter, Concorde was not just a technological marvel. It was a bridge between Earth and sky, chasing the moon across continents and showing humanity what is possible when science and engineering meet in perfect harmony.